So, in advance of tomorrow's committee meeting, we published what the amendments would be a week in advance, and we sent a notice out, as we do, and this council advertised this meeting. The councilman indicated tonight that he is likely to continue the issue for an additional hearing of the Transportation Committee downtown, which gets a couple additional weeks and gives us an opportunity to also vet the West LA lot with the West LA Neighborhood Council. So we published the name of the lot that we were proposing, and we began the vetting process. This is the beginning of the community dialogue, and we're getting feedback back and forth. People asked, how was this lot chosen? Again, we have certain parameters. We had to have publicly owned and controlled parking lots. After the last committee meeting, the last council meeting, when there was significant testimony and from this board that there be a Venice lot to be added, LAPD sent us a list of lots that they thought were viable. After that, Sergeant Skinner and I went out and we drove around and we actually looked at each one. And I'm going to go through the list of the publicly owned lots in Venice. Lot 613, that's the lot next to Spark and Fire Station 63. It had been suggested at this meeting. Sergeant Skinner thought that it could potentially accommodate 2 to 3 motorhomes, but at the time, we were considering a 50-foot buffer zone. That was within the 50-foot buffer zone of the nearby residences, and therefore was deemed too close to residences. 585 Venice Boulevard is a couple of publicly owned spaces next to Sammy's that don't appear to be publicly owned spaces, but they are. Again, a problem with a 50-foot buffer zone because the units above the Lemonade restaurant there are residential. Irving Tabor Court, some of the new spots the city is constructing. Again, this was on the southern end of it. Again, that could accommodate a few motorhomes, but the units above Lemonade are residential within the 50-foot buffer. Lots 616 and 617, which are near or behind the 1500 block of Abbott Kinney, behind sort of Abbott's Habit, that area. Those lots, they were short spaces. They could be good for vans or small motorhomes, Teresa thought, but again, very close to residences on Electric Avenue. On 608 to 654 Venice Boulevard, near the public storage space on Venice Boulevard, there are some spaces there that are not on the street, that are very close to the Mexican restaurant and to public storage, that actually look like they belong to those businesses. They do not, but they're easements, and so they're not something that could be covered by this ordinance. The Dell and Civic lots along the Venice Boulevard median and by the library were lots that were early in consideration. Right now, you can actually technically buy a permit for, I think, $45 a month legally and park overnight at Dell and Pacific at the far end of the Venice median lots. LAPD had an objection to that area because of problems that they have had with chronic crime problems in the tunnel over by the canals. So that was taken off the list. They had similar issues with the area right near the Venice Library on the eastern side of the Venice Boulevard median lots because of the number of problems that they've had for a number of years there that they've recently cleaned up. So they didn't want to start readdressing those problems. The Oakwood Recreation Center has a very small parking lot, which was deemed too small, and again, very close to homes. At Main and Rose, the triangular lot right diagonally across the street from the firehouse and right across the street from the Ballerina Clown, there was some consideration that perhaps a couple vehicles could go there, but that lot is heavily used as a neighborhood parking spot for folks who are in the North Beach area. If we were going to use a significant buffer zone of 50 to 100 feet, that would be within that zone. The lots on Venice Beach, at the end of Rhodes, at the end of Washington, at the end of all those streets, the county controls those. They have said no repeatedly. Those were the first lots that came under consideration. At Westminster Park, that lot was considered to be too small and very close to homes, and there is currently a youth program operating there now that serves the homeless. Finally, there was Penmar Park, which has a very small lot, and was significantly closer to homes than the Penmar Golf Course. The Penmar Golf Course lot had the furthest distance from any homes. We could easily accommodate a buffer zone there that went from 50 to 150 feet, and if we put the vehicles on the eastern end of the lot, we can easily get up to over 200, 250, close to 300 feet of a distance. So that is the inventory of lots that we went through, and I'm happy to answer several questions.
Yeah, that seems pretty thorough, but I still think...
Your microphone.
Oh. Hello. That seems pretty thorough, and it fits within, you know, didn't get to 300 feet, but you made your 150, but you still leave the voice of the Penmar folks out, and you know, I think this is worth further discussion.
Thank you. Michael.
Well, you know, as many of you know, being the former president of this body and also originally serving on the overnight parking district committee with Stuart Oscars and many others of you, I've been very close to this issue for a long time. The first thing I want to say is it seems very, very clear to me that having a program like this is very important. It's a very important step towards helping members of our community that would like help to get that help, to taking care of people that are fellow members of our community, and also alleviating some of the concerns that people have that are property owners or renters and are concerned about some of the homeless issues in Venice. I think what goes along with that is also very clear to me is that to be able to solve an issue, which is a Venice issue, we need to have at least a lot in Venice. If we want West LA to take part in this, if we want Westchester to take part in this, Venice has to be part of that solution as well. I feel very confident about that. Some of you disagree. I understand that. Good people do, but I really think that we have to be part of this. Some folks would want more lots in Venice, and they're not getting that here, and some folks want no lots in Venice, and they're not getting it here. But it seems to me that one lot is awfully reasonable. Getting to the amendment at hand here about the Penmar issue. You know, this is the type of thing that's not going to make anybody happy. No matter where this lot was in Venice, we would have a certain neighborhood coming out and not being happy about it, and understandably so. There's nothing irrational about that. There's nothing hateful about that. It's people who are concerned about themselves, their families, their children, and right or wrong, whether you disagree or not, it's a legitimate point of view and it needs to be respected. Having said that, my big question here as I listened to this was, well, why Penmar? Is there really nothing else viable in Venice? And I have to say, Mike Bonan's presentation just now was extremely thorough and extremely impressive. He went through 13 different lots that they looked at, and there were reasons that were either too close to homes, respecting the values of homeowners and not wanting something within 150 feet, or areas that the LAPD said simply will not work, and I think we have to respect the LAPD's view on that. And the only lot that was possible sounds like Penmar, unless I'm missing something, or Mike's missing something, or the councilman's missing something, and I'd love to hear if anybody knows more than he does about it, but it sounded pretty thorough. The only caveat I would put to this, you know, if I were a voting member of this body, by the way, which I'm not, I'm the president emeritus, I'm ex officio, I'm not voting anyhow, but I do at least opine on these things from time to time. It seems to me the only issue to think about when we're talking about Mariana's amendment here is, are there any ways to completely minimize any negative impacts having this at the Penmar Golf Course might raise? And I think there are two things that really need to be thought about. First of all, is when are people going to be utilizing this program? It seems to me that certainly seasonally, coming in at 6 p.m. is problematic because I think Penmar, you know, closes when daylight ends, which is around 8 o'clock at a certain time of year. So certainly at that time of year, at any time of year, I would say the program can't stop until a half hour after the golf course is closed. Seems reasonable. People golfing, using the facilities, shouldn't have to be, you know, dealing with an issue of people getting in, getting set for the night, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't seem fair. Same thing on the back end. Whatever time first tee time at Penmar is, I don't know what it is, probably 7 o'clock if I had to bet. 5? Okay, hold on. Educate me on it. 5:30 is the first tee time? Okay, well then I would agree that if this lot is going to be used, that people would have to be probably out before those first tee times. Now, if that becomes something that cannot happen and cannot be enforced, excuse me, let me finish my thought here, then that becomes a problem and something that has to be looked at. Because I do think it's fair to say that folks need to be in after people are done using the golf course. folks need to be out before people are using the golf course to not jeopardize people's enjoyment or also the fiscal viability of the golf course, which is very important to our community and very important to the city of Los Angeles as a whole. So that's all, to the board, that's all I would sort of leave you guys with, is I think the thing that has to be thought of is how can we make the program not intrusive or not incompatible with Penmar. Besides that, it seems to me that it is the furthest away from homes. It seems to me that no homes are looking at that area. It's not a visual blight. I don't think a home, are there some? Okay. It's certainly less than a lot of these other spaces, but I just think all these things should be considered. And if somebody has a different opinion than Mike and other people who have looked into this, then please share it with us. Please let us know what that better lot is. But I really don't think there's any way of getting around the fact that a lot does need to be here in Venice, because we're trying to solve a Venice-specific problem. And to ask West LA and Westchester to help, we've also got to help as well. So if there's a different lot, let's hear about it. But I really think we got to be part of this.
Thank you, Mike. Mike, do you want to comment about possibly the hours and being flexible in that regard? Because those are interesting and good points.
Yeah, Mr. Regan from Rec and Parks raised the same issue. He said he would want to develop modified hours for this lot. They might change seasonally. He thought that we could do a later start time, perhaps as late as 8. He didn't necessarily think, although he was going to consult with his staff, that we would have to get people out by the starting tea time, because the lots don't necessarily fill up. But that's going to be part of the flexibility built into the program. There may be a cause in Westchester or West LA to also modify hours depending on what best suits the participants in the community.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, anyone else want to speak? All right, if you want to speak. Can I, well, let you finish. How about, I'll let her be the last. She'll get to close. Is that okay? Thank you. Okay, Chris.
Thanks. I just want to say that I agree pretty much with everything that Mike Newhouse said. This is a Venice issue, and therefore we need a solution in Venice. And kind of like what was said earlier with the healthcare law, let's not make perfect the enemy of the good.
Well, I pretty much agree with Mike. Seems to me I'm hearing about the right to golf versus the right to a decent night's sleep. If they agreed to modify the hours between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., give somebody 8 hours of sleep. I went over there and counted the parking spots. There's something like 88. I might not have been exactly right, but there's like 88 parking spots. It's a huge spot. Yes, they would have to park sideways. You're correct. If there's 8 there, it still would leave at least 40 for this 5:30 arrival of people who might have to, I don't know, I mean, they're gonna have to work that out. But it's a huge parking lot. There's 40 spots that would be available for the early birds, of which I'm not one. I'd like to also point out that it's, over and over again, they're talking about how it's monitored, how it's security. I've actually read most of the PDF that is involved in this, because I've been involved in this issue for many years now. The PDF states that the proposal that they agreed to follow, the PDF says that within 1 hour, 50% of any grievances will be dealt with within 1 hour. That 100% of the grievances or any difficulty will be dealt with within 2 hours. And I am under the impression, also from the PDF and the agreement, that there is a cell phone that will be answered by a human being, I believe. So there will be someone on the other side of that phone call if it's needed. The other thing I understand about the program, to alleviate some of your concerns, is that if there's a complaint or if there's a problem, they are immediately booted from the program. So, and it is a pilot program.
Said anything that I would say has been said.
I kind of feel that way as well. I'm at a loss because I can see it from all the angles that have been discussed, and I don't know what to do. I'm all for the program in general, and I definitely think that Venice has to play a part in it, the leading part in my mind. But we've got to find a lot, and we've got to give the people who are going to be affected by the lot an opportunity to be heard, and I don't know whether that's taken place. You know, my thoughts go to, well, then what do? We just do nothing? I mean, it seems like we're just juggling balls of lesser evils, you know, to try to figure out what to do here. Ultimately, it's the city's property. I suppose no matter what we do, it's still the city's property. They can do what they want with it. But you know, the people who spoke from Penmar, I really heard you. If I lived near Penmar, I would be going ballistic about this. But at the same time, you know, the people that we're trying to help, I really want to try to help. So this just sucks.
It's help available.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I hear you. Anyway, thanks for the comments, and thanks for all of you for coming here and letting us know how you feel.
This will not be a filibuster, it'll just feel like that. First of all, I'd like to point out that Zeb Yaroslavsky is the county commissioner for the county supervisor, and I recommend that all of you get up tomorrow morning and send an email to that nice gentleman and tell him that you think the county's policy towards this sucks. Absolutely. Right? That's number one. All right. With that in mind, we're going to have to prove that something works. The problem that I keep hearing here is that everybody objects to everybody else's solution, but then doesn't propose a solution of their own. I've heard people ask for this to have been done differently starting 3 years ago, and as soon as Mr. Peabody and his Wayback Machine arrives, we'll all go for a ride. I have been told, I've heard people object to it happening with less than 48 or 72 or 96 hours notice. And these are the people who have complained bitterly in the past that government moves too damn slow. Everybody in here has at one point or another been consternated by the fact that government doesn't do anything at all. And quite frankly, one of the things I'm really impressed with is all these people up here and all those people out here have been heard by that guy over there who has sat through every one of these meetings. And we've all actually gotten to develop a prospective solution to the problem. And it has changed and morphed and moved forward and has not died yet, despite or because of all the efforts of all the people involved in this. I, for one, am very impressed with the fact that it is our government and we participate in it. There are a lot of countries where that's not the case. I'm not running for anything, I'm already up here. To the motion at hand, the Penmar lot, we have to have, just making this comment over here to Nancy, who actually has one here, we have to have a dog in this fight. I have been, and it has been accurately pointed out to me, that other parts of Bill's district send their people that need services here, because this is where the service offices usually are. And I think that's a very good argument to the, hey, don't you guys have to have a lot too? On the other hand, the Penmar lot is probably closer to those services than any place else in the district. Plus one, minus one. I really appreciate Mike going through the inventory, because it is the first time I've heard anybody go through it. And with the possible exception of how many people would like to put fencing underneath the arch, the one place where the canals go under a street, so that maybe we can alleviate the possible crime area. I know I'm reluctant to walk through there, and I'm relatively robust and 6'2", okay? So there are days, or at least nights, where I would like a flashlight and maybe an armed guard. With that in mind, I think the Penmar lot is the best possibility for us participating in the solution to the problem that is right now most concentrated in Venice. That said, it's a long lot on a long street with a lot of facing. And some of the objections to the idea of the hours of in and out for this particular function versus its current function, for the access to the facilities there versus as opposed to the needs of the people that we are trying to help with this program, I think can be solved with a little bit more than just saying, you guys over there. I think some curb cuts could be made so that in and out can be separated from the people who are golfing and the people who are trying to reside there temporarily. I think that there can be honey pots and maybe some other facilities put in there, because this isn't going to be there for 2 weeks or 2 months. This is going to be there for a while. That said, one of the problems you have in creating an ongoing facility is that it is attractive. And so other people who find themselves in this situation may come there to avail themselves of the good fortune of our process. I told you it was going to feel like a filibuster. Last but not least, to the woman who objected, and I heard the voice, I can't remember where it came from, that these people are, whatever it was. What I want to say is this. Unfortunately, Americans, every damned one of us in this room, wants first and foremost to be able to take care of ourselves. All right? We want to be able to make a living. We want to not be a burden on the people around us. We want to be able to take care of ourselves. And frankly, when we get to the point where we can't afford the rent on the house, or the mortgage on the house, or the rent on the apartment, most of us are very reluctant to try to start cadging off of our relatives, our sisters, our bosses. We end up trying to make do, keep it a secret. First we run up the bill until we are avoiding the landlord. Then we go and live in our car and hope nobody finds out about it. Maybe we've got a camper and we can go live in that for a while. There's a small percentage of people who are living in campers because they're basically saying, and this is for public comment, fuck you to America. There's a small percentage who don't realize that they're living in campers, they need help, and we are obligated as Americans to give it to them. And there's a certain percentage of the population that are there through no fault of their own, who have tried and have failed at the economic system we have, and we owe it to them as Americans to try to help them back into the boat. All right? So I am going to vote for this process. I think y'all knew that. I'm going to vote against this motion because we need to have a dog in this fight. And things will go wrong. And we will be able, hopefully, to change them. And I have evidence of that because, by God, we got here together to begin with. Thank you.
I think almost everything has been said. I just wanted to add a couple of things. When I make decisions, I try to look at it from both points of view. And if I had lost my job and I was homeless, I would hope that I had a car to live in or an RV. And I would hope that
I live near people that would help me get back on my feet. And so I don't want to turn my self away from people that are trying to get back on their feet. If I didn't have a family, if I had mental issues, it's just so easy to be on the streets in America now. And so I would hope that we would try to work together as a community to support people and not be so hateful. And the second thing is that I don't live next door to the golf course. I almost wish I did, because for example, I know that I would not want an RV right in front of my house. I recognize that. But in a facility that is somewhat away where I can still view the street, I support that. And I try to work with, and I'm going to try and work with you all in this effort, just to see that if we work together, I think it can work. If you're a business, I don't know what hours the cafeteria or the restaurant is open, but we should try to accommodate that so they're not adversely impacted by it. If security is a problem, we should work with it. But I don't think we should walk into it not believing anything is going to work, that the rules aren't going to work, PATH isn't going to work, that the people that are going to be in the program are just going to abusers. I think we should try to at least say that we made an effort and make every effort to try and make it work. Here.
Yeah, I agree with Amanda, Kelly, and Mike Newhouse, and comments by Clark as well. I think that we have a collective effort going on. I think that we need to address these issues, and Rosendahl and his staff have come up with a program. They're down the road on it. It looks like it's viable. There's always going to be a sticking point with any lot. The inventory list of lots, it seems like this is the best choice. I think we should do it.
Get through this. One, I really believe that any lot that's picked anywhere, we will have a large group of people complaining whether or not it was vetted or not. That's going to happen because we all feel that way. The NIMBY problem. I felt that way. I live on a walk street. I don't have this problem. However, the city passed an ordinance that you could sleep on the street from dusk till dawn or whatever. I have between 15 and 40 people who sleep on the end of my block. I heard all the horror stories about the pissing and shitting. We got none of that on our block. I feel lucky. I have between 15 and 40 people sleep there, they camp there, in the morning they're gone, and it's all clean. I've had a good experience with that. So I think we have to give certain people a chance, and I'm carrying that into this because who are the people that are going to be in these campers in the lots? They're the people who want to get off the street. We've had people come here and say, I'm a veteran, I'll never go to that Veterans Administration, I don't want their help, I don't want anything. The people that are going to be in the lot are the women that stood up and said, oh, thank God I can get off the street. So I think there's a vetting process within the people who will be there. It's not going to people who want to park in front of your house and do all that stuff in your yard. It's going to be people who want to get out. So they are going to obey the rules. I feel that. We'll see. As I said, I've had experience with that. Next, I read the emails that came in from everybody. Your park guy said there's naked guys jumping up and down in your bathroom right now scaring everybody away. He said that. You read that email. So maybe those guys will be sent out by the park security that's going to be there now. So you won't have those guys naked scaring all the golfers out. I did get that email from him. So yeah, no, it's not a golfer. It's whatever you want to call homeless people that go in there to wash and don't take their clothes off and scare everybody away. So that's the point. And the last point I just want to say is this is the discussion. If we take out this lot, it's over. I'm actually going to leave. There's no point in going on because West LA is going to pull out and Westchester is going to pull out, and then it doesn't exist. So, and that's what we want. That's fine. That's the vote of this board. You want to kill this? This board will definitely kill this project. and that's the vote that we will have. So I'm just saying, to not repeat everything that everyone said, this is, unfortunately for the residents around there, the lot that makes the most sense, and I think we have to give it a shot. And if these people are abusive and don't work, the program will end by itself in that way.